I am sure sports. You know me there, I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy, 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 boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you a go love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Good morning and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I'm your host, Man, and this is Sports News in 10 at 10. Normally it's 10 minutes, but we'll be going a little longer this morning. Welcome to all our subscribers and all our viewers. Hoping you're having a good day. We're in the Jamaican colors because today our national team play a friendly international in Lima, Peru against the host nation, Peru. We have what we call a fresh squad, a new squad, not a lot of the familiar faces, but Paul Hall will have the opportunity today to look at some new faces to see if they can cement a place in the squad that will be selected in a few days for the World Cup games against Mexico, Costa Rica, and Panama. The Mexico and the Costa Rica games will be at home. The Panama game will be away to Panama. And we have what is a proposed start in 11, which would see Kemar Taxi Lawrence playing on the left, Jaden White in goal, Damian Lowe in the back, along with Topi, right? At left back, we'll see Kemar Taxi Lawrence, and at right back, we will see Javane Brown. In midfield, we expect to see Javon Watson along with Devon Speedy Williams. We are kind of weakened up front, so Peter Lee Vassar will play as well in that midfield area. You have Akwasa Chang who will be up there, Jordan Fletcher, and you could see Dwayne Busy Atkinson in the starting lineup. That's a possible starting 11, but later on in the day, we'll dive more into it and speak about that, and so we can get your views and your comments, right? But news surfaced yesterday, it's also in the tabloids, the morning newspapers, that Craig Butler has decided after the debacle with Mona, where they were booted from the finals of the Walker Cup. He has decided to take a break to walk away from schoolboy football at this time. Um, he has also put in place plans for this Mona team to travel overseas uh, to play some friendly games. And so we anticipate that and see what that would be like. We also heard from the principal of the Mona High School who stated that it's a genuine mistake that was made by Mr. Craig Butler, who was unaware that the red card applied to both the Manning Cup and the Walker Cup. There was no intention to beat the system. There was no intention to break the rule. It is a genuine mistake. I believe that these things happen. I do agree that and I agree. Listen, personally, I believe that it is a mistake. I I don't see how someone would knowingly do that, hoping to get away. It's a red card. Um, and from our understanding, at least one of those red cards were straight red cards. So what that is saying, what that is saying is that they may have misunderstood the rule, right? And it is they take full responsibility. They take full responsibility for the actions, but there was no intention whatsoever to break rules, to beat the system, or to cheat, right? And so I accept that completely. It is not the first time that players have been carded and the coaches misunderstand the rule and play them either in the Champions Cup, the Walker Cup, the Ben Francis Cup, and suffer the consequences. And so, going ahead, my recommendation would be that the policy of ISA, if it is not already in place, is to clearly state that cards apply to all ISA competition, which would include the Manning Cup, Ben Francis Cup, the Costa Cup, uh, Champions Cup, Olivia Shield. All right, Olivia Shield. So that means if a player moves from Manning Cup to playing the Da Costa Cup, the red card still stands at the beginning of the season. I think that needs to be clear so we don't have this, because it is not the first time that this is happening, and it must be devastating for a school like Mona, who this is their first opportunity. And if he came out and he said, listen, he genuinely did not know. And I can see that. I can see that because, again, you're probably saying you're looking at international club competition where if a person gets a red card in the Premier League, they still are allowed to play in the Champions League. And so maybe he was looking at that and then thought that the same rule would apply because the Walker Cup is a different competition from the Manning Cup, though it is operated by the same group, which is ISA. And so I I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. The principal has come out in support of him. What I don't agree with though, Mr. Butler, is that you should walk away from schoolboy football because of this. At the end of the day, people are going to speak. All right. There are people who believe in what you're doing there at Mona. People believe that what Mona brings to schoolboy football is of great value. Many people were excited to see them in the finals today. You have been reprimanded, rightly reprimanded. It's the breaking of the rule carries sanctions, and those sanctions were imposed, rightly so. ISA did their job. Now, where you and I differ is you walking away for whatever period of time. This is not going to help the footballers. Or is it that if you walk away, you're just walking away from the coaching aspect, but all of those Phoenix players and Phoenix personnel, Phoenix equipment, Phoenix setting that we saw at Mona, will you leave all of that? Or when you walk away, you're taking all of that? Because if that is done, then what is going to happen is that the Mona program is going to be set back. So that's where, Mr. Butler, I think you and I are in completely on different sides of the fence. Different sides of the fence. All right. Other thing is, it has come to our understanding that assistant coach. Now, let me say this: a lot has been said about the absence of some of the players, the regular players in the Jamaica national team in the setup there. All right. Many of them for different reasons, they are out. Right? Many. However, I find it mysterious that the assistant coach is missing. Yeah. The assistant coach, who is Meron Garden, is missing. All right. Now, I'm going to juxtapose my reasoning. Leading up to the semifinals, it was reported, semifinals of the Da Costa Cup, it was reported that he tested positive for COVID. I don't know. That is what the reports were, that he tested positive. That's more than 2, heading into 3 weeks. The senior team has an important game with a new coach, and the assistant coach has not traveled. Now, if I see Meron Garden, or if I hear that Meron, and I'm not saying this because I'm a man in this man, I'm going to give you perspective. If I hear that Meron Garden was anywhere near Garvey Maceo preparing or training the team Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of this week. All right, now I'm going to bring out major conflict of interest, right? Because I like to get my facts. If I hear that he's there, I'm going to question his commitment to the national team in the same way people question Mikel Antonio, Ethan Pinnock, Shamar Nicholson, Leon Bailey. The same way people question these players, they must question Meron Garden. If I see him on the bench or anywhere close to Garvey Maceo at the finals, I'm going to have that same issue of commitment to the national program. It has also come to my understanding that the president of the GFF is the chairman of Garvey Maceo, which would mean if I see him that there is an obvious conflict of interest where schoolboy football has been given a priority over the preparation of our national team for a critical World Cup qualifier. My understanding is that the technical director, Wendell Downswell, has traveled with the team instead of the assistant coach. Now, the only way he can escape my criticism is if I said he's still suffering from COVID. And if he is, he should be nowhere near the Gavin Masaya team. And if he is, Jamaica need to speak up, or we need to stop criticizing players. Because if the people at the highest level are allowed to do this, what do you expect of the players? Now, again, let me put my argument in context. It was reported more than 2 weeks ago. This new variant doesn't take long to get out of the system. It doesn't. Who should I ask, Jason? If not you? Who should I ask? If not you? Tell me, who should I ask? I need to know, who should I ask? In my opinion, then I try to word along with such a man. You said that. Listen, he's still there. It cannot be. It cannot be. That Paul Hall is a new coach. You should have been there. Here's the next thing. What purpose are you going to serve come the 27th? What purpose are you going to serve? If you are not there with these players to see what the coach is doing, right? Remember, the rest of the players are not coming until next week. What purpose are you going to serve? Were you with the national team preparing them during the time they were here in training? Or were you with Garvey Maceo? Which is more important? These are things that needs to be answered and spoken about. These are the little issues. These are the little issues that have creates all of these questions. All of these questions. Unnecessarily so. Unnecessarily so. So, again, I'm watching how this is going to pan out. Yeah, there you go. Kwame, Kwani. So, yeah, no purpose. That's why I said it uses shocking appointment in the first place. I'm willing to give a man a chance, but it cannot be. It cannot be. And then we question the players. And then we question players' commitment. It can't be. We have to operate at a higher level of integrity. Gunners boss, you always bringing some American things in this. The American system don't apply. You're talking about basketball. We're talking about the national team with a new coach going away, and the assistant coach is not going. And you're talking about much about do. Yeah. And varsity, don't bring the American. Talk to me about some Jamaican stuff, Gunners boss. Talk to me like when you used to live in Jamaica. Jamaica, you're born, man. Let's use some Gunners boss. Use some Jamaican thing. Don't tell me about what is happening in America. I'm not living in America. I'm in Jamaica right now. We are in Jamaica. We are talking about what is happening. And what we are talking about is when the players don't turn up, there's a question about their commitment. So when we don't have our national senior coaches available, and we don't get the right and proper reasons, we have a right to question that. We need clarity, we need communication, we need explanation, so that the people can begin to have integrity in the program. All right? Let me touch on one last thing. This no admission All right, so here's a very good point. Top 10 is saying, what if coach will give him, allow him to stay? All I'm saying is that if Coach Hall says, Maron Garden, you can stay, then there's no problem with Shamar Nicholson staying. There's no problem with Corey Burke not turning up. There's no problem with Junior Fleming. There's no problem. If it is that you're going to take up the job and you're saying to your assistant coach, you can stay, you don't have to travel, then some of the players don't have to travel. What makes his reason more valid than the players? And that is why I believe when you work for your national team, that's what you should do. Work for the national team. Don't be connected to no club or no school. Don't. So you must be paid enough to be able to function and focus on that and that alone, because these things are going to arise. I would have the same problem if a coach had the JPL finals and chose to stay instead of going with the national team for whatever engagement. And that is why when Southgate, when Harry Redknapp, when these guys get the job, what do? When they get the job, they relieve themselves of all other duties so they can focus solely on the national team. On the national team. On the national team. We have to begin to implement that in our system. When you're the coach of the national team at any level, you cannot be engaged with coaching at any school or any club, because it is going to be or perceived to be a conflict of interest. It is undeniable. It is untenable. Even if you have the best players and you select all 11 of them, because you coach a team and coach a national team, it's going to come across as a conflict of interest. Perception is reality. Perception is reality. Perception is the reality. So the JFF need to be able to pay its coaches enough, because believe me, these schools are not paying these guys millions of dollars. Probably at most 100 or 200,000 at most. At most 200,000. You cannot sacrifice 200,000 for the national team, senior team, in a critical moment where we're trying to earn billions of Jamaican dollars. 200,000 Jamaican over billions. It makes absolutely no sense. We need to get our priorities in order. We need to get them in order. You know, I don't normally come out and very critical, but I have to speak to these things. I have to. The other thing I want to address is the admission. All right, somebody's saying that. All right, top 10 is saying that he's a teacher also. All right, so if he's employed as a teacher and he cannot travel, we need a different person. That's what I'm saying. I am not questioning his ability, but this is the national senior team in a critical moment. There are other people who want the job, who would have made themselves available. And whatever he's getting, they'll take it. You just heard Dean Burton speak about he would love to, he would relish the opportunity to come and be a part of it. Give them. If he is engaged in teaching, good job. Keep on doing that. If you're engaged in coaching and you don't have the time to give to the national program, I'm okay with that. Walk away or be removed from the position so that someone else can come in. This is not the only school he has been at. He was at Lennon. I don't know. I don't know. Priority is the person who pay your bills on a weekly basis. Just national team don't pay your weekly bills. And one thing I know is that Meron Garden don't work for the national team for free. And all I'm saying is that there are other people who have enough money who take what Meron Garden is getting or not getting and do the job and be available. And it has nothing to do with that. Here's why. He has always been present. So let me give you this Gunners boss. This is not something that we normally see. So if it happens now, it stands to reason that it has to do with the schoolboy because he doesn't normally do this, whether he's teaching or not. He normally finds the time. How all of a sudden, when the player's loyalty and commitment are being questioned. So that is why if we're going to use you know what, the man, this is what paying his bill. Well, none of the footballers should come and play for Jamaica. None of the footballers should come. Let's use that. He has to be committed to who is paying his bills. So, Bowser, don't come play for Jamaica. Antonio, don't come play for Jamaica. Blake, don't come play for Jamaica. Burke, don't come play for Jamaica. Fleming, don't. Youths in Jamaica, if they're not paying you more than what, don't come and play for Jamaica. Come on, man. You can't reason like that. When the players come and play, they are leaving the players that are paying them weekly to come and get match fee. You think Paul Hall is not being paid weekly by his club? He is. And what goes for the geese goes for the gander. But let me jump to something because we're about to wrap up, and this has to do with the non-admittance of fans in the national stadium. After having 5,000, well, less than 5,000, but 5,000 tickets for the USA game, all of a sudden, no fans again because there is a spike. Totally understand. All right? But what incentive is there for people who are vaccinated even get booster because their boosters advertise go and get your booster, which is a third shot. So people get the first and second shot, they get the booster only to hear you still can't go anywhere. How does that encourage me or someone else who is unvaccinated to get vaccinated, except for the preservation of your life? And if you think, like, listen, this ain't going to do me nothing, I can survive this, I'm healthy enough, you're not going to get vaccinated. Because whether you're vaccinated or not, there is nothing. There is nothing. You still are going to be under lockdown. You're not going to go anywhere. I believe that allowances can be made. for people, just like you did. Remember, there were no major incidents when they allowed fans for the USA game. None. No major outbreak because of it. Everything was properly handled and managed. So I cannot understand why spectators could not be allowed. 5,000. 5,000 in a 30,000 seat stadium. And people wore their mask. At this time, it's probably too late for the Mexico game. I think we're dealing with this wrong. Gunners boss. All right, so that's why I say it's because you're not following what is happening. The overseas players don't have international break. This is not an official FIFA window. It is not. So you have to remember, you're coming into a chat where a lot of the people are versed in the football and what is happening. All right. You are very good on some American sports info, but on these things, you don't have enough information. It is not an official FIFA break. And that's what I'm saying, Gunners boss, you have not been following what is going on. People have criticized Shamar Nicholson and other players for not coming. The point is, if you're going to do that to those players, then the coaches, the people at the top of the thing, must make themselves available. Just listen to all that I'm saying. If he doesn't go to be with the coach here, remember, it could be that he's sick, I've stated that. But if it is proven that this man is giving out instructions to Garvey Maceo on the sidelines at the game tomorrow, if he's if he's anywhere close to the Garvey Maceo bench tomorrow, there is a problem. He should have traveled with the national team. And if he's saying that Garvey Maceo is more important than the national team, that is good. Then he needs to be removed from the national coaching setup. That's all I am saying. I don't know how you have a problem with that. I am not telling him not to make Garvey Maceo more important. I'm saying if it is more important, then stay there. We have many past players who are highly qualified, greater qualifications, doing great things as well. Give them the job. Butler needs to go and coach Real Madrid. Jamaica is too. Yeah. So kind of easy. How do you combat this? Do you think the sorry sanction of the GFF? Do you know Meran's financial situation? The government should pay GFF for all the funds that they could have gotten into the stadium with the COVID-19 money they got. I don't know. This is a tough one. Yeah. Not good times, people. Not good times. Not good times. Not good times. Not good times. Listen, this is actually sports in 10. At 10. I'm not telling a man what to do. Listen, you see, if at government say they are paying your salary and the JFF can't give you what you're supposed to get, then leave the team. That's it. But don't let us have something like this. And if Paul Hall give you permission, then Paul Hall should not come out publicly to say anything about any player not turning up. Because if a coach can stay, then players can stay. If it's for financial reasons, like I said, if I'm getting 10 million for my job and the GFF paying me 10 cents, I am telling them, I ain't leaving my 10 million for my 10 cents. Get somebody else. But don't try to keep both. Don't try to keep both. Big manings, man. I am sure you won't be rooting for governments and DD. You know, listen. And that's why I said I didn't. I know that people are going to say Garvey must say it because I got. But remember, Garvey must say beat Clarendon. It's just a truth. It's part of the reason why people have a problem with Rudolph Speed. The same conflict of interest. It's the same conflict of interest, and I think that is we really need to look at these things. Really need to look at these things. The conflict of interest. Should national coaches be coaching clubs and teams in the same country? You don't see it anywhere else. You don't see it anywhere else, you know. The coach for the United States is not coaching anywhere else. The coach from Mexico not coaching anywhere else in Mexico or any club anywhere. Same thing with England. The problem we have is that this perceived conflict of interest keep messing with the football. I talk to Rudolph Speed often, and I think every time he's on the bench at Cavaliers and hold the position as a technical director, it's going to be perceived as a conflict of interest. Once Cavaliers players gets called to the team, whether they are good or not, it's going to cause a problem. If he were not there and they were still being called, if he was not a part of the system and they were still being called, nobody would have an issue. The issue is you are in charge and they are being called. So even if it is not you, you know, that's why it is a conflict of interest. Big up Shem Jackson. And what is happening is, listen, you see, what is happening, people, is this. The more this continues, it's the more it's going to spread. So we could see, let me give you a next one. You remember people, because people don't follow girls football, one of the persons that people have always had an issue with is Xavier Gilbert as well. When he coaches a female team and he coaches Excelsior. And then you see Excelsior players on the team. And people from Clarendon saying, how come this player from this school? People from Manchester say, how come this player from this school is be an Excelsior player on it? I think once you have a national position, if the federation can't pay you enough, stick to your job, because it's going to be enough. It's not good for your integrity as a person, and you have to value your integrity and your character. Conflict of interest. You remember what used to happen? Carl Brown was such a good coach, trying everything. And every time somebody from Boys Town would be called, them would say, Carl Brown, I can't be a Boys Town man. Even if it is one person. Our national program must get to the place where it can properly pay its staff. They said, money is not an issue. Pay its staff and remove the odor, the aroma of conflict of interest out of the football. These are my thoughts. Gus Hiddink was not managing. Every time they get appointed to national teams, they have to give up their jobs. The only way that happens is if they sign the contract to coach and they finish up the other contract. They don't do both. There's no person at the international level. Pep don't coach Spain and thing. Luis Enrique, you check them. Garrett Southgate, Sam Allardyce, when they are coaching, they don't do it. They don't. Come on, no, man. And even if you use the Gus example, it's too. So he's coaching the Russian national team but managing Chelsea. That's even if you use that example, your argument is still not valid because it's one country and a nation. So you don't have a lot of Russian players in England, anyways. So there can be you're not going to perceive it as a conflict of interest. If it were like Paul Hall is at Queen's Park Rangers and the national team. So it's different jurisdiction. So your example really you're clutching at straws, my brother. Stop while you're ahead. All right, but at 11 we have our chit chat, big conversation coming up at 11 with Garfield Ratty Robinson, former Camperdown player. Right, this is in 10 at 10. It recent up again with Maurice Gale, yeah, and Coach Waterhouse. It exactly, Omar. I'm saying that these things keep happening in our football. Maurice Gale now is coaching St. George's, Waterhouse, and Jamaica. St. George's, Waterhouse, and Jamaica. As good a guy as people think he is, if 4 Waterhouse player get called, problem. There you go. Julian, there you go. Signed for Madrid while coaching Spain and lost the Spain job right away. There you go. They'll be fired. We always seem to put ourselves in this position. No, you can imagine a couple St. George's player make the under 20 team. What the upward would be, a true Maurice Gale, and him there St. George's. St. George's not going to win. It's conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. You say that. You end up losing them both, Jason. There you go. So you want all, you lose all. Oh boy. You know, there was an issue like this, even in the Premier League with Mullines, with Anthony Patrick. And they were saying that Anthony Patrick, they fired Anthony Patrick because they said there was a conflict of interest. Mullines. Here's why. Because they said that, listen, you are running an next team. You are running an next team. So how are you going to be able to do this? And they fired him. So they fired him. Because you can't coach, I think, St. Catherine High, Racing, and Mullines. So there you go. Hey, people, thank you for your time. Want to, again, big up our sponsors. The sponsors for this video are Launch Legacy. Yes, Launch Legacy. Launch Legacy. Handle risk, seek legacy for all your personal insurance need in Canada and the US. Visit them at launchlegacy.com or call or text 647 989 0782. That's Launch Legacy. Let's play you a quick clip from our sponsors, Launch Legacy.
Life is a gift and a series of experiences. Launch Legacy is a go-to brand for the insurance needs of families and business owners across Ontario. Call or text Patrick Reed at 647-989-0782 for a free needs analysis. Launch Legacy, building and protecting legacies. License number 1514526.
Also, big up our sponsors, Prestige Finance. Yes, Prestige Finance has come on board. Prestige Finance, lending a hand when you need it most. Call them at 876-884-73 90. That's Prestige Finance. Check them out, people. You need a loan? You can check out Prestige Finance. They have all the loans that you need to get yourself off your knees and standing strong and tall.
Linston and all surrounding areas. Come get easy cash now for business and personal loans with no processing fee. We're Prestige Finance, located inside Sam's Mall, upstairs, KFC. Real? Take advantage of our super low interest rates. How low? 1 to 4%. No processing fees. No guarantors. Alayatel. Get loans up to 100,000. No, this too good to be true. Call or WhatsApp 884-7390 or email prestigefinanceltd@gmail.com. Prestige Finance, the solution to all your financial problems.
Yes, there you go, my people. So listen, just jump back on at 11 when we'll be talking to Garfield Ratty Robinson. He's a former footballer. Sometimes you need to hear these stories. Who is now an author. Wrote a book, and maybe you can support him by buying that book. But thank you so much for watching Sports in 10, though it's gone more than 10 minutes. Have a blessed day and see you soon back on I Am Sure Sports.